What if I were to tell you that in the state of Missouri in 2016, 14 people were killed by one single act? Now, with recent events, you might think this was due to gun violence or terroristic attacks or a homemade bomb, but that is not the case. One by one, 14 people lost their lives in the course of a year due to texting and driving. Hello, my name is Jacob Martin, and I'm going to be talking to you today about why Missouri should pass legislation to make texting and driving illegal for all ages. I was very interested in this topic for a few different reasons. The main reason was I found out that Missouri is one of 3 states, including Arizona and Montana, with no all-driver texting ban. This means that in the state of Missouri, as it stands, if you are over the age of 21, it is completely legal and compliant with the law to text while driving under any circumstances. Along with this fact, I also thought that in today's modern society, cell phones have become less of a tool and more of an addiction. In fact, I would bet that every person in this phone right now has a cell phone on them within arm's reach. The research of my paper consisted over a few different topics. Mainly, I wanted to focus on a lot of the physical dangers of texting and driving. In 1 year, a study done by the University of Tennessee showed that cell phone use nearly doubled on roadways, and the fatality rate in car accidents increased by 5.5%. This is a direct correlation showing that an increased rate in phone use leads to an increased rate in fatalities. It was also proven in a study done at the University of Virginia that when a driver texts and drives or uses a mobile device, they become twice as likely to be involved in a safety-critical incident. A safety-critical incident is described as a traffic accident involving 1 or more cars. With the research that was done and the studies found that texting and driving is more dangerous than people might have thought, people decided to make systems and software to make hands-free devices such as Bluetooth through car speakers, because they thought that if we could get drivers' hands off the phones and onto the wheel, it would solve the problem. That, however, turned out to not be the case, and we find that it is not the number of hands on the wheel that matters, because the driver's attention and processing is affected whenever they are using a mobile device and not focusing on the road. They lose the majority of their cognitive function, and studies have shown that they actually have a slower reaction time when texting and driving than somebody who is legally intoxicated. Along with physical consequences, there are many economical consequences. Traffic crashes cost millions of dollars each year to taxpayers, and distracted driving crashes make up for about 15% of these expenses. This 15% may not sound like a lot, but it actually turns out to be about $129 million a year spent by taxpayers on traffic crashes. When you average that out, that's about $900 per year each citizen is paying solely for distracted driving traffic incidents. Along with people, businesses are having a lot of economic consequences with drivers texting and driving. A big industry that is hit the most is the trucking industry. We find that truck drivers are 23 times more likely to get in a car accident when they are texting and driving. When a truck driver gets in an accident, liability costs for trucking companies usually range an average of about $24,500 per crash if no injuries are involved. If there are injuries, we see that number spike up to about $150,000 per crash. Now, with the research that I've done and the information that I've found, I decided to form a product that would have a benefit not only to myself, but to my community as well. I decided to form a mock accident with 2 cars that got in a head-on collision, and we pretended that one of the drivers in the car was texting and driving and struck the other vehicle head-on. I used 4 members of my high school in this event as my actors, as well as getting the entire high school out of class to come and view this event to help raise awareness. I had approximately 30 safety rescue members there. There were 2 different fire departments, 2 ambulances, 3 police officers, 2 highway patrolmen, the county coroner, and air evac landed a helicopter at my time. For those that could not make it, I've compiled a short video of the events that happened on that day. This is my product continued. I wanted to show a little bit of behind the scenes of my product to show that it's not all blood and gore and guts. So here we have myself along with some of the members that were acting in it afterwards, kind of congratulating each other on a job well done. Up here, this was taken of me before the mock accident. I kind of wanted to pose on the car just to have a little keepsake. And then down here we see all the members. Like I said, we had 2 different fire departments here. These are the area vac guys. The ambulance actually got a call right at the very end of my performance, so they had to leave unexpectedly. But so that's why they weren't there. There were a few different challenges that I faced having this as my senior project. Coordination was my main challenge. It was very difficult for me to get all of those people on the same page, at the same place, at the same time, on the same day. I started making phone calls and sending messages approximately 2 months before the event happened, just so I could contact everyone that I needed and make sure everybody was there. As well as coordination, time management was a big issue, mainly for air evac, because they told me in order for me to land a helicopter, they needed the exact minute that we wanted the chopper to touch down. So we had to basically plan our entire day around their schedule so that way they could land the helicopter. And I believe it was 11:37 on the dot that we told them, and it was 11:37 on the dot that they landed. In 2016, 14 people lost their lives. 14 families were changed forever, and there were no outcries, there were no protests, there were no candlelit vigils. As it stands right now, there is current legislation to be passed in the state of Missouri to make texting and driving illegal for all ages. If this matters to you, I ask all of you to make your voice heard, contact your local legislatures, and get this law passed. And if the bill isn't passed, I also ask each and every one of you to do your part to save a life and put the phone down when you drive. Because if you text, you're next. Thank you. Judges have any questions?
I have a question. Once your product was done, after you had the mock accident, did you have any kind of feedback from any of the high school students?
I didn't really. It was mostly good jobs.
Yeah.
I didn't get any feedback a whole lot saying like, "Wow, man, this really changed my life." But I did notice, and it's gonna sound really bad, so bear with me. But my favorite part of this whole deal was while this was all going on, I kind of just took a step back and I looked out over. There was about 400 kids present, and I saw people crying.
Yeah.
And it really struck home with me, and I really feel like it struck home with them that I kind of opened their eyes a little bit.
I was looking at the makeup on the actors.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to learn how to do the makeup? Does that look pretty real, or did someone help you do that?
We actually, I had a mentor, her name was Maggie Roberts from St. Charles. She's been with the Missouri Department of Road Safety for a while now, and she does things like this. And she actually knew a guy named Brian, who was a professional special effects artist that we had come down and do the makeup for everybody.
What are your plans after school?
My plans after school as it stands are I'm going to go to MSU West Plains for 2 years and get my associate's degree. And then after that, I believe I'm going to transfer to MSU Springfield and try to get probably a bachelor's degree in business. And then after that, I'm not real sure yet, but we've got some time to think on it.
Did you talk to anybody that felt that it wasn't the government's place? And if so, did you read it?
I did find a little bit of that in my research. The main argument against texting and driving, making texting and driving illegal, was the fact that people thought that it was giving up basic freedoms. You know, I have my car, I paid for it, this is my phone, I should be able to do whatever I want whenever I want to. You shouldn't be able to control that aspect of my life, which is a good point to be brought up. But whenever the evidence is proven to just on how dangerous it is and how much more likely you are to get in a car accident, I feel like the safety of the public as well as everybody else the needs of the many outrule the wants of the few.
Did you see any research comparisons between seatbelts and helmets?
No, I tried to steer away from that because I mean, in my opinion, that's a completely separate topic. I firmly believe seatbelts should definitely be used at all times. They save lives as well. But I mostly focused on the texting and driving as well as the distracted driving. Is that all?
Yeah, great job.